Hello friends, welcome to our channel Know the Law, and here I am Advocate Jyoti Chodia, and today we are going to know the nature of the Indian Constitution. Basically, in the world there are two type of nature of the constitution prevailing in, that is the federal form of constitution or the unitary form of constitution. So in this lecture we will get to know about what is meant by the federal form of constitution and the unitary form of constitution, and whether such nature is found in the Indian constitution or not. If yes, then what is the actual nature of the Indian constitution? So let us know them one by one. So basically, what is meant by the federal form of constitution? The federal form of constitution, the powers of the government is divided between the center and the state government, both of which are independent in their respective provinces. That means in the federal form of system or the constitution, state and the center not overlapping each other. The maximum number of power or the authority over the state, but are equally divided between the state and the center, be it of the legislative or for the administrative purpose. Such form of constitution, that is a federal form of constitution, are found in USA, Australia, Germany, Belgium, Malaysia, UAE, and so on. So, likewise, what is meant by the unitary form of constitution? In the unitary form of constitution, the powers of the government are concentrated in the central government. That means, as per unitary constitution, the unitary state, there is a single central government. This government is the ultimate authority and control the state administration. The state has a sovereign power and the legal department to create, organize, and eliminate the lower level of the government. The central government can be divided into several provinces or subdivisions for the sake of administrative convenience. The provision do not execute their power from the constitution. They behold their existence to the which may abolish the powers at will. So, after barely reading what is meant by the unitary form of constitution, we come to know that the powers of the government are concentrated at the center, and the center is the sole or the ultimate authority to control the states. That means the state are sovereign in nature, and the states in such country are created at the will of the central government and for the purpose of convenience for the administrative purpose. If the the central government doesn't want such state to exist, then the center has the power to eliminate or such from their country. And such form of unitary form of government is found in UK, Afghanistan, Italy, China, Saudi Arabia, France, and so on. So, friends, after knowing the difference between or what is meant by the unitary and the federal form of constitution, so now let's know what all features are present of both the form of constitutions in the Indian constitution, one by one. First is so among them, first is the division of power. For a constitution to be federal, this power means division of power is very important characteristics. In this, one part of the power should be in the hands of union government and other should be in the hands of the state government. there is no uniform method for this division. For example, in the USA, powers given to the union government are specifically defined in the constitution, while the remaining powers, known as the residuary powers, are given to the states. There, the states are more powerful. In case of India, powers are divided into union and the states, and remaining powers vest in the concurrent list, where both the union and the state can make the laws. In case of conflict, the union's stand will prevail. Therefore, your union is more basically in the federal form of nature of a constitution. There should be the division of powers, be it the executive or the legislative purpose. That means it should be well defined in the constitution itself. Like in USA, where the power are divided between the states and the center, and if the some of the powers are left over, then such power goes to the state, not to the center. Whereas in India, it is almost opposite. The though the powers are divided between the center and the state, but here there is again a third list that is known as the concurrent list, on which both the center and the state have the power to make laws. If any of the subject matter which is enlisted in the concurrent list, and on which the center and state both make the laws, and if they conflict with each other, then the civil and not the states. And in case of India, the union is more powerful, whereas in the USA, the states are more powerful. So the second uh, feature of the federal form of constitution is the written constitution. It is also an important type in the federal form of constitution, that the constitution must be in the written form. In case of conflict between the union and the state, there must be a clear source of information which can clear the doubt between the two. This should be lucid and unambiguous. That means in the federal form of constitution, there should be a set of rules which are codified in a particular book that is known as the constitution, which conflict between the union and the state, and which the set of rules which are mentioned in the constitution should be so codified that it is non-ambiguous. That means it doesn't create any kind of lacunas or the confusion, which will clear all the doubts between the center and the state, and not prolong the act or the fight between the union and the state. So the third feature of the federal form of constitution is a rigid constitution. This type of constitution must be rigid, which means it cannot amend easily. It can be amended easily, then you can gain more. Amendments of the constitution is that easy that it would create a feeling of insecurity in the minds of the state government. The union will act in the dictatorial manner. So here in the federal form of constitution, the constitution must be so rigid that the central government cannot amend the constitution in such a way that it can use the power, or can in a dictator way, where it can impose the laws on the state and become a ruler or a controller over the state. So next feature is the supremacy of the constitution. Constitution is regarded as the supreme law of land, and the supremacy must be maintained because it will maintain a state of balance between the union and the states. Both should work under the domain of the Constitution as they derive their powers through it. Neither should commence any act which is against the provisions of the Constitution. Any essential changes should be made according to the method provided in it. That means, in a federal form of a constitution or a state or a nation, the law should be supreme. That means neither the president nor the other ministers of the country will be considered above the law, but the set of rules which are written in the constitution should be supreme and prevail over any conflict between the union or the state, and it should be so rigid or should be well defined that the state or the center cannot take over one another, and it also should define or the areas in which both the union and the state will work, and all the powers the state executes or the center executes should be well defined in a codified manner in such a set of rules that is known as the constitution. Fifth, again, is the independence of the judiciary, again, an important feature of the federal form of government, in which the state of distribution of the power must be an agency which can resolve the conflict between the two, and this agency must be an independent in nature. This agency is known as the judiciary. It acts as the guardian of the constitution and checks that any act should not be suppressed the provisions of the constitution. It is the judge which will interpret the provisions of the constitution in case of any ambiguity arises. This is known as the doctrine of implied powers. That means the independence of the judiciary in the federal form of government or the nation is very important to maintain a balance in the nation. If there comes any conflict between the state and the center, as the laws between the center and the state are codified in the constitution, so if there is an ambiguity or the confusion between the union and the states, then there should be an agency that is known as judiciary, which powers or the functions are also to be mentioned in the constitution, so that any political party or the higher in the position cannot misuse them or then influence such judiciary to give the judgment on their side if there is a conflict between the union and the state, and so it is also regarded as the guardian of the constitution. If confusion in interpreting any section or article of the constitution or a clause of the constitution, then it is the judiciary who will clear out this confusion and keep the check and balance between the legislature and the administrative power in the state. So this is how the independence of the judiciary has to be maintained. Next is the bicameral legislation. Every state in a country has a different interest. There must be a platform which can put the voice of the state at the union level. This is possible only when there are two houses of the union legislation. The first house will look into the matters of the population. The other house will look upon the interest and the rights of the states. So this is again a most important feature of a federal form of government or the constitution, where there should be a two houses as we see in India as well, that is the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, representative of the people directly elected to the Lok Sabha, whereas in the Rajya Sabha there are the experienced persons which are indirectly elected by the state legislation to the Rajya Sabha for representing their wills in front of the union government as such. and whereas the Lok Sabha represent the views or the rights or the opinions of the people directly in front of the union government. This is how the bicameral form of legislation works as an agency or the agent between the state and the people and the union on the other hand. Now coming to the features of the unitary form of constitution. Among them, the first is the single constitution. As we see in the UK or various example, as we seen in the explaining the nature, explaining the unitary form of government, what is mean by so the UK has a single constitution, though it is not codified, but for the for being the state or the center, there is only the one constitution, and there is no separate constitution for the state and the center. Second is the central controls over the states. The state have to respect the laws made by the central government and cannot make any law on matters on which there is already a central law. As we have already seen that there is another list, third list, that is a concurrent list. If from on which both the central and the state government can make the laws. If both the central and the state makes laws on a particular subject which is in the concurrent list and they conflict with each other, then the union law will prevail over the such of the Sabha does not represent the state's equality. That means in true federation, the upper house of the legislation has the equal representation from the constituent units of the state. So that means, in a true form of federal government, there is an equal representation as to the number of legislative members uh, in the state. But it is not the case in India. It is it is represented on various factors, and there is mismatch between the members of the legislative council and they are represented in the Rajya Sabha. Again, the fourth is a single citizenship. In true federal state, citizens are given the dual citizenship. As we see in the America, there is a dual citizenship, that is one of the center and the second is of the state where they reside or where they work in. So this is not the case in India. In India, there is only a single citizenship of a whole country and not the dual citizenship. Again, another feature of the unitary form of constitution. Next feature is the unified judiciary. That means India has a unified or integrated judicial system. The Supreme Court is the highest court of justice in the country, and all other are subordinate courts under it. Next is the proclamation of the emergency. When the emergency is declared, the union or the central governments become all powerful and the state government come under the total control of the central government. The state governments lose their autonomy. So in again this is the feature of the unitary form of constitution. If there is a war-like situation or an internal disturbance in the country, then the powers of the states goes in the hands of the center, and likewise the center becomes a powerhouse of the various laws of not only of the center but also of the various of the whole states in India. Next is the power to withdraw the map of India. Parliament by simple majority in the house can create or abolish the state and can change the boundaries of the state and can even change the names of the state. As we have seen in the federal form of government where the powers of the state are derived from the constitution. But in the case of India, it is not so. It is all upon the will and wish of the central government. So it is said that in India, by just a simple majority, the boundaries of the state can be changed. Even the in the Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. Next is the legislative matters. The Union Parliament is very powerful. It has not only the exclusive control over the union list and the residuary powers, but it also dominates over the concurrent list and the state list. This is the most important of uniformity of laws in the country. If we have signed a treaty at the international level, then it is up to this union government to implement such treaty. The powers of such state government to form a law can be taken by the central government, and to form such laws on that particular subject. And also in the case of emergency also, the powers of the state are also taken in the hands of the central government to guide the India as a one, and not by dividing as a such. Examples of such legislative matters when the power of the state government goes in the hands of the union government are under provided under Article 248, even entry 97 of the list 1. Again, in the articles of 249, 250, 251, 253, 256, 356, 357, and so on. Under these provisions, we can take over the power legislate in the state list as such. Next is the administrative power. As same as of the legislative powers, the central government can has the powerful is more powerful than the state government. The state government has to work under the supervision and the control of the central government. The states should exercise its executive powers in accordance with the laws made by the parliament. It can control the state government by directing them to take the necessary steps for proper running of the administration. If the state fails to work properly or according to the constitution, it can impose the president's rule under Article 356 and take over its power. That is the power of the state's administration. And such more examples are can be found under Article 356, 256, 257, 258, 260, 262, 263, and so on. Next unitary feature of the constitution in India is the financial matters. The president of India has the power to take or make the alternation in the distribution of revenues earned and from the income tax between the center and the states. The center has also the power to grant loans and grant in aid to the state governments. The Controller and the Auditor General of India and the Finance Commission of India, which are the central agency, has also the control over the state finance. For example, granting aid, effect of finance during the emergency are taken over by the central government. Next is the appointment of the key positions. Appointment of the Chief Election Commission, the Controller, the Auditor General of India are made by the Union Government, and the All India services like IAS and IPS officers have been created, which are kept under the control of the Union Government. Next 12th feature is the appointment of the Governor, which means the government who is the head of the state government is appointed by the President. He holds the office during the pleasure of the act as the agent of the center through him. The center exercises control over the states through the governor of the states. Now here the question comes after knowing coming to know that India has both the federal and the unitary features in the constitution. So actually what is the nature of the constitution, that is whether federal or unitary or quasi federal. Nature of the Indian constitution is not defined anywhere in the constitution. Instead what is said that India is a union of states, whereas many historians believe that the Indian constitution is federal form of constitution, like Professor K says that federalism is a system of divisive rights by which the general and the regional governments coordinate in their respective provinces and are independent and not secondary to each other. That means it is quasi federal in the nature. Whereas, according to D.D. Basu, India is a federal in structure and unitary in spirit. So there are a lot of debates about what is the nature or the quasi because of different views by various historians as we have seen above. So lastly, the Supreme Court of India have cleared all the confusions or doubts on this very on this very topic by going through various cases which are as follows. The first significance case which is this issue was discussed at length was in the case of State of Bengal versus Union of India in the year 1963, where the Honorable Supreme Court held that decentralization of authority in India was mainly to facilitate or smoothen the governments of a large country, and therefore it contains many centralization feature also. Next, in the case of S.R. Bommai versus Union of India, where the Justice Hamid opined that essence of the federal nation is the existence of a division of powers between the union and the states. Whereas in the Kuldeep Nair versus Union of India, the Supreme Court said that a specific sort of federalism or a USA fundamental structure of the Indian Constitution. The federalism is one of a kind in nature and is custom fitted as per the particular needs of the nation. Federalism is a fundamental and element of the Constitution of India, in which the Union and of India is lasting and indestructible. Next, in the case of State of Rajasthan versus Union of India, the Honorable Supreme Court stated that even if it is possible to say a federal structure behind the establishment of separate executive, legislative, and judicial organs in the state, it is apparent from the provision illustrated in 356 that the union government is entitled to enforce its own views regarding the administration, granting of powers to the states. The extent of federalism of the Indian Union is largely watered down by the needs of the progress, development, and making of the nation integrated politically, economically, coordinated, and socially and spiritually uplifted. In the conclusion, Apex Court held that it was the prerogative of the Union Parliament to issue directives if they were for the benefit of the states and were aimed to achieving those set out in the so likely in the Keshwananda Bharti versus State of Kerala, which is the basic structure thesis delivered by the 13th full bench constitutional bench, where federalism was regarded as the basic feature of the Indian constitution. And in the case of Satyapal versus State of Punjab, the Supreme Court again held that our constitution uh, there is a combination of both the federal structure with unitary features. So, after analyzing the views of the Honorable Supreme Court of India, it would not be wrong to say that the court has recognized the fact that the framers of the Indian Constitution intended to provide federal structure with a strong central, which would prevent the nation from disintegration. That's why the chairman of the drafting committee of the Constituent Assembly of India, Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar, had appropriately said that our constitution should be both unitary as well as federal, as per the prerequisite of time and the circumstances. In this way, it would not be wrong to conclude that the Constitution of India is federal in structure and unitary in the soul. For example, it is a quasi federal in nature. So after going through the various views of the historians, where they have said, some of them said it is federal form of constitution, where some say that it is quasi federal, where some say it is both the unitary and as well as the federal, which means being the federal in nature, but its soul and spirit of is of the unitary in nature. While the Supreme Court have clearly in various cases said that the federalism is the basic structure of the or the basic principle of the Constitution of India, and it depends upon the circumstances or the time whether there should be a federal because it should be implemented as per the needs of the time and for the protection and well-being of the people at large, and not for their for the government's own benefit anyhow. So the Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar in its Constituent Assembly have clearly said that the constituent should be both unitary as well as federal as per the prerequisite of time and the circumstances. So it is very clearly said that Indian Constitution is federal in structure as we see from the bird's eye view. If we go in details, then we come to the know that Indian Constitution is unitary in soul or the spirit. That means if we study detail manner, then we come to know that it's unitary in nature, like because of the provisions like appointment of governors or the key positions, again of the appoint legislative powers in the hands, more legislative powers in during the time of emergency, the powers come into the hands of the center and not the states, because the because in India the nation was formed first, whereas in USA the states were formed first. So it is said that India is a nation of indestructible center with destructible states. That means the union or the center of India is so strong which cannot be harmed anyhow, but its states or the sub provinces in India can be disturbed or can be divided as per the as per the convenience for the administrative purpose, as per being held or felt by the union government as such. So, like this, we come to the conclusion that the Indian has the federal structure with the unitary in its soul, uh, quasi federal in nature. So, guys or the friends, if you have understood the nature of the Indian Constitution very well, then please do subscribe our channel and press the bell icon, which will keep you updated about our upcoming videos. And yes, don't forget to share and like our videos as much as possible. Thank you, stay safe, and meet you in the next video.